Someone's asking to be let in. Okay, there we go. It's recording now.
Okay,
So
Bess.
be too much of an id. I'm just kidding. Be as much of an id as you want to.
I'll be your for the time being. Although I won't
Cool.
understand what you're saying, but anyway.
Well, do my best. Look, it's a Bess. Hello.
Hi, Bess. Hello. Hi, Professor Bess.
Professor Bess. Yeah. Actually, tomorrow I'm going on site to the campus to University of Maryland. They actually approved me for the spring. I don't think I told you.
For this spring?
To teach. Yeah, next spring to teach.
Oh, next spring. Okay. No, you did not tell me. Okay. So, Meaty's by herself again.
Yeah, it's okay. Just till tomorrow night. I'll be back tomorrow night.
Oh, okay. How did you get to College Park?
Train.
You took the train?
Okay.
Okay. Well, lovely. What are you doing there tomorrow?
Well, I'm going to 2-6 on site, but Marriott is up here in Bethesda as well, so I might actually pop in there in the morning and get my badge, potentially, and some other stuff. But it's so lovely. I got all the details on the hotel. Basically, anywhere you go, you'll get at least 70% as a friends and family member.
Jeez, okay.
So like I use points here at the College Park Marriott, but normally it would have been $230, but the deal it was actually $73 if I would have paid for it.
Wow, lovely. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I have this form for you. It's just Marriott Explorer. The lady at the front desk, her name's Flame, which is lovely. She
Flame. I like that.
She just got back from Tokyo and she didn't spend anything on travel because she had free points and they got this Explore discount. She said she spent $40 a night for a 5-star hotel in Tokyo.
Oh my God. Geez, because I was wanting to go up to Cape Cod in the end of June, but I don't know.
I'll have to talk to you. I'll have to talk to you after this about the whole orientation because I have a lot more respect. Did you know that Marriott started as the A&W root beer company?
No.
Yeah, and then they became Hot Shops, and then I think it was in 1948 they then got into hospitality.
Wow. A&W.
Yeah, and also another interesting stat is that they have 8,800 properties, but they only manage 49 of them. The rest are franchise.
Oh,
isn't that crazy?
What 49 do they manage? Do you know?
I don't even remember, but yeah, I haven't looked at that.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's wild though. So like I don't know, I have a lot of respect for them. They do they're really cool, you know. It's neat to be able to be here and be helping them with this program and all that stuff. Oh, look, there's Marta. This is my
Zach and Marta here.
Yeah, Mom, this is my friend Zach and Marta.
Hello.
Hi.
As you can see, I don't want to be seen. Not that I'm ugly or anything.
We're feeling the same energy.
Look, I got it set up. They gave me a conference room in the Marriott because I putzed around and couldn't make it to campus fast enough. You know, I got distracted. Big surprise.
Nice.
You guys aren't being seen either. Wonderful. That's lovely.
Yeah, we're hiding. Hold on. I can turn this on here.
Justin can show you a picture.
Oh, my hair's a mess.
Oh, you
guys.
Hello,
This is Zach.
I'm not turning mine on.
These are my people. Yeah, these are my people, Mom. I kind of told you about them, but yeah, these are my Richmond. They're helping take Rats into the next level, and they're coming to Spain. We're all going to Spain at the end of the month. Lovely.
You're all going to Spain together? Well, that'll be nice.
Just booked the trip. Just booked the flights Friday. So.
Oh wow! Wow, that's great.
And I'm guessing they'll come to the UK with me as well, or they're fired. Yeah, how about that ultimatum? Come party with me, or you're fired.
Oh my gosh!
Don't mind if I do.
That's my requirement now. I would never. In fact, technically, I'm the only one that can be fired. So that's the point. And I just left my wallet on the Amtrak, Mama Bess. How about that?
Oh, here. You left your wallet?
Yeah, so that's cool. So I mean, I'll be able to get my card tomorrow, but once again, I'm rich on paper and poor in real life, so I'm such an ass. But it happens. This is the first time I ever left. Huh? Oh, I mean, I still have an Amtrak card. I have a smart card. I have little bits of it, but my main card, my driver's license.
Oh, the driver's
no.
license.
That's all right.
No.
I can go. I have my passport. I can go on Monday. I don't need it. It's more just like, God damn it. Literally, this is the universe punishing me for leaving those big tips. That's what I'm gonna say. The universe is always trying to course correct. Like, slow down, Biss. Slow down. No, I refuse. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna kick things off since it's 2:02. All right, thank you, everyone. This is week 4 of SEC1337. Today's topic is network security. Now, I don't actually have a whiteboard, so I'm going to just use my wild Italian hands, and we're going to go through and we're going to talk about stuff that way. So, network security, and I'm going to send out the notes afterwards. So, network security. In week 1, I talked to you all about the OSI model, Open Systems Interconnect. And the OSI model is the foundation for how networks communicate. You have layer 1, which is your physical layer. That's like cables, RJ45, Ethernet, hubs actually run at layer 1. They're pretty dumb. Then you go up to layer 2. Layer 2 is switches, MAC addresses, nothing related to inter protocol routing, just the same network, as layer 2. Layer 3 then is the internet protocol layer. That's everything to do with sending communications outside of a local network. So if you want to communicate with any machine on the internet, you essentially have to use an internet protocol address, which is a phone number for the internet. I have an IP address registered to my brain. No, I mean, you can do it as well. You can go to this organization called ARIN, the Assigned Registry of Internet Numbers, and you can actually get your own IP address, which is pretty cool. Layer 4 is the TCP UDP layer, Transmission Control Protocol, User Datagram Protocol, and I'm actually going to move this camera forward since we can do that. And that adds on, let me see, is that better? Yeah, and that adds on source ports, destination. So if you go to the internet and you type in google.com, what you actually don't see is there's a colon after that. That's either port 80 or port 443. HTTP runs on 80. HTTPS with encryption runs on 443. So that's also a hallmark of anything on the internet. Pretty much, you need a port, you need a service to run on. And then layer 5 and 6, these are ones that people commonly don't understand, including the people that made the OSI. You've got the session layer, which is protocols like things like X11 or Gopher, where it adds in a visual interface and it allows you to communicate, but it doesn't do much. It doesn't have any application awareness like you do at 7. And same with session. Session, an example of this is actually Google Meet, where you add in more awareness of connections. You allow for buffering for video and audio transmission. But again, you don't really know what's happening with the application, the headers, the APIs. And then layer 7 is application layer. So, you got your Skypes, your, you got your Slacks, you got your next-gen firewalls, which are way smarter than the dumb firewalls that operate only on layer 4, because they can look at application workloads and say, oh, there's this database system, this particular group. Where it's looking at the actual application workload, and it can create policies in a software-defined way. And we'll talk about software-defined networking, because that's what kind of revolutionized the whole idea of network security in the past, I'd say probably 15 years. Networking in general has not changed a whole lot since really 1999. The only thing that's changed is Internet Protocol version 6, which is still not fully implemented because it's really complex. So IPv4 is what we have now. It uses a 32-bit address, and it has 4 octets. You can see, like an example is 192.168.0.1, right? So each octet has a value of 0 to 254 because it's 2 to the 32 power, and then 2 to the 8 power, and then that's the highest you can go. So like that's what allows you to understand. But with IPv6, it's 128 bits. And so it's really, really freaking long. And so even weirdos like me who memorize IP addresses don't really spend time memorizing IPv6. But behind the scenes, nobody really needs to know it anyway because of this thing called the domain name system, which is like when you type in Google, the internet, the machines actually behind the scenes translate to IPs. They don't know anything about DNS. It's a human concept. So that's kind of the essence of that. So, all right. So we have to talk about how to secure each of these layers, and this goes back to our whole defense in depth model. It's every week there's this theme of defense in depth. So layer one, physical. How do we protect it? Well, we need things like we need to put babies in cages. We need cages. We need physical like protections around our equipment, right? If we own a data center, we're going to enforce biometric authentication. We need to physically protect our networking gear using racks, using cages, any number of things that prevent physical access. Then you have layer two, and keep in mind, like, as you get higher above, if you can compromise one of the upper layers of OSI, you then compromise every lower layer. So it's really important that you protect and layer it together. But similarly, if you have a control that protects you here, it'll also protect you there and there. So for layer two, we have switches, and really switches operate with this thing called ARP, Address Resolution Protocol. And what ARP does is it translates a media access control address. So every device anywhere has right now a 64-character address. The first 16 characters is tied to the vendor specifically. So if you go online, you type in Dell will have a certain static prefix, and then the last 48 characters is unique to the device. That's what happens at layer two. So when you're sending packets and frames, you're using the MAC address. ARP translates MAC address to internet protocol and reverse. So if you are leaving your own local network with frames and you want to go to the internet, to another autonomous network, you have to do ARP. And there's a lot of ways to abuse it. There's this thing called ARP poisoning, where you can hop on the network and you can start sending malicious requests to get machines to send you responses. And next thing you know, you can trick clients into thinking that you're actually the right switch. And so from there, you can do this thing called traffic shaping. It's really hard attack to prevent. Like, you can detect it, you really can't prevent it. The way that you prevent it or make it harder is you make it hard to get on the network, right? And so the way that you do that at layer two, so you can do MAC address filtering, right? Which is not perfect, but you can essentially do this. You can say, here's an allow list. Only these MAC addresses are allowed on. Now, the difficulty in just doing that is you can spoof your own MAC address, right? If you go on Kali Linux, you can literally do MAC changer -r random, or type in whatever you want it to be. So you can spoof an allowed MAC address, and you can listen on layer two for traffic using something called Wireshark to see where requests are going. Like I said, it's not encrypted, right? It's just going back to the email concept of early on, networking wasn't built for security. It wasn't until the upper layers when they started to think about it, but layer two is designed to quickly send frames between the same segments. So if you're on the network, you can abuse the hell out of it. But then when you get to layer three, internet protocol, you have IP addresses. You can do different things. Like, there's this idea called network access control, NAC. And what that does is makes it so that if you just go and you plug a machine into an Ethernet port, you can prevent them from just getting on the network by requiring authentication, right? Using any number of technologies like CHAP or EAP. You make it so that you can't just come to a conference room, plug in a device, and next thing you know, you're on the network, right? So that's a layer three control. When you're inside of a building, that's typically the best way to prevent just people coming on. Same with Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi, if you want to prevent people from getting on an access point, you can use network access control, and you can say you need a username and password, or you need a certificate. Most Wi-Fi networks are shitty in that they only require what's called a pre-shared key. That's normally at minimum 8 characters. The problem with that is it's easily guessable, especially if you use, meatball as your password. Maybe I do that, or Turbo Babes, but no, the point is it's easy, but that's a pre-shared key. And if you go back to the encryption talk, That's a symmetric key. It's small, it's fast, it's weak, it'll be broken. Like you can literally sit and just crack, using this thing called air crack, you can just crack the key. So for layer 3 security, it's best to use some kind of knack to prevent, unauthorized access. Layer 4, you get basic network security from a basic firewall. This is when you start to have kind of what are called stateful firewalls. They're not next gen, but you can do things like block certain IP addresses from communicating to other IP addresses, right? So you can say, hey, on the internet, we're going to block all public IPs from interfacing inbound, which is what you want to do anyway. Don't allow random ass IPs to just hit your firewall and pass through. Just allow local IPs to communicate back and forth, but you'll see in a couple subsequent slides that's just not enough. It's just you don't want to allow all local traffic because then you open yourself up to what's called lateral movement, east-west traffic. But this is a basic control. You can also say, hey, I'm only going to let certain IPs and ranges communicate over, say, port 22, which is SSH, on this server. So if there's another server running something that's like a web interface or a camera, you can block people from just connecting to that port and only allow those particular ports that you want. And that's basic ass network security. So source port, destination port. And then layer 5 and 6 and 7, similarly, there's a lot more controls that you have in place for applications. So when you have a next gen firewall, you can have workloads, like I was mentioning. You can make it so that you write policies and say, you know what, this Kubernetes cluster of containers, we're only gonna allow outbound traffic to our web servers, but our web servers can only send outbound traffic to our database servers behind the scenes. And you can literally group them into this thing called micro-segmentation. That's something only available at layer 7. You can also understand patterns of like so the firewall actually operates at layer 7. And so you can figure out just from metadata where clients are going, what applications they're accessing, even the requests that they're sending, the HTTP requests, without ever inspecting the traffic in line, literally just looking at the metadata, which is pretty incredible. So whenever people talk about the NSA collecting info and like, oh, metadata doesn't matter, it actually does. It's probably more valuable than the actual data, and it's because of this. So all this has to happen. Every layer has to be protected. There's also an unofficial 8-layer I talk about, 8-layer dip. It's called the human layer, and it's not part of the original OSI, but it's really relevant because any human attack is going to bypass everything on the 7 layers below. So phishing is an example, like Slack phishing, email phishing, data loss prevention, either intentional or unintentional. Data loss prevention is this idea that you might accidentally leak data. So you might use your personal Dropbox that then syncs proprietary info and you don't realize it. And next thing you know, you got all this sensitive info in your Dropbox. Or you could be an insider threat, and you could be like a Snowden who's going to a server, extracting 2 terabytes of data. That's still insider threat, and that's data loss prevention. But these are all, again, human issues, right? You have all this security in place, and next thing you know, it doesn't matter. Like if somebody walks up and plugs in a USB drive, or think about this. We know that cryptography works, but what if the NSA hacks into your webcam and then they just watch what keys you're typing? No need to install any software. Boom, point the webcam down. You got yourself. So again, the human attack, this is why 90% of breaches happen by targeting some kind of person. There are application level attacks like Equifax with Apache Struts and SolarWinds, but those all in some way involved a human, right, injecting some kind of code into the supply chain. So really important that we do this. Defense in depth is our friend. It's the only thing that really works, when it comes to network security. So let's talk about 2 different models of network security, the antiquated one and the current one, all right? So, and a lot of companies unfortunately follow the antiquated one. This is called perimeter-based security, or north-south. The understanding here back in the day was, okay, we're going to build a crunchy exterior. Here's this fortress, AKA our office. If you want access, we're going to make it hard for you to get inside, right? So either physically make it hard, or if you're using a virtual private network, that's the only way that you can remotely get in, right? The problem is companies they assume that you're trusted when you're inside. And there's a lot of people that allow VPN access, but don't require multi-factor authentication. And I tell this story about the whole coffee machine that I hacked for this company that got me into the network. Well, what was fascinating about that is when I got into the Keurig and grabbed the service account, that service account allowed me to VPN into the entire network. So I'm essentially pivoting in. Then once I'm in the network, it's completely wide open, right? So the big folly here is thinking you're trusted. So when you're on the network, there's no inspection of traffic, there's no monitoring, there's no protection against lateral movement. They allow you to do anything. Like you're on the network, cool. Problem is, it's really easy to get on the network. You know, like I said, even with network access control, that makes it harder. But you know, you can still spoof your IP. You can use compromised credentials to authenticate. You know, you really need to make it hard. And the perimeter model is constantly what leads to breaches. You know, it also is built without understanding that data moves everywhere. So this was pre-cloud. This was pre the notion that your device is what needs to be protected, your identity, not some network. Because the moment you leave the four walls of business, the business has no concept of what's happening, right? You know, like they may say that you must VPN in on your company machine, but how do they prevent you from accessing Slack on your personal device? They can't, right? You know, they don't have any understanding of bring your own device or anything. And that's why big old companies get pwned left and right because they follow north-south perimeter traffic. There is something to be said for, you know, protecting your assets, making it hard to get in, but that's not enough because you need to then look at east-west traffic. And this defines this whole concept called zero trust, right? And zero trust has become a buzzword, but it's also a very effective security model, all right? And so zero trust has this concept of no matter what you do, even if you're inside the four walls of business, VPN, whatever, we don't trust that you're implicitly allowed to do things. You've got to still authenticate with multi-factor. You've got to use your device to ensure trust. So if your device is on the network, enforce policies like needing a certificate, making sure your browser's updated, making sure your disk is encrypted, making sure your operating system is relevant, any number of what are called device context policies, right? Do those checks for every bit of access. It actually isn't going to slow people down. It makes it quicker. It makes it more secure. It also requires that we look at things like role-based access control, which is what I talked about a couple weeks ago, and least privilege. Zero trust builds on that concept of just because you're in here doesn't mean you can do what you say you think you should do. And it also follows the model of assuming breach, right? The companies that don't make headlines, they assume breach. They say, we're probably been pwned years ago. So with that in mind, how do we prevent catastrophe and mitigate the blast radius? This also parlays perfectly into my talk about real-time breach detection because you assume breach, right? And you want to know immediately that you've been pwned. And also how this relates to east-west. So east-west is lateral movement. With zero trust, it makes it really hard because just because you're inside doesn't mean you can hit these domain controllers, these web servers. You still have to authenticate. And then the next gen firewall is going to be able to segment traffic by application workload, even identity, and it's highly effective. It's truly the only model that really works. And you know, zero trust, you're going to hear it's the only way forward. It's the only same way. So that's north south. That's east west. And that's microsegmentation. Now, next gen firewalls, just a little more about this. Firewalla is like the cheapest. Probably one of the best, honestly. Next gen firewalls, like you can get one for $300. You know, you have these crazy companies like Palo Alto, Fortinet that make $10,000, $100,000 boxes, but a lot of it's superfluous. You don't need that crap. They just, you know, they do all these things. They like allow you to connect different sites using this thing called SD-WAN, software defined wide area networks. Firewalla does that too, in fact, because right now I'm connected to my Firewalla. My firewall is connected back to Richmond over dark fiber. It's also connected to my bro in Austin. So it's kind of just a moot point. Yeah, baby. Mike. So that's layer 7. You know, beyond that, all right, it's really important to build on zero trust. We need to follow this thing called network security monitoring, logging, and alerting, NAMBLA. Oh, sorry, no, that's South Park, National Association for Man-Boy Lovers or something. No, this is network security. Blah. And so what does that mean? It means a couple things, right? So we need to be monitoring all the connections coming into our next gen firewall, right? Who's hitting us? Firewall is a great interface. So you're going to have bogus ass IPs from Russia, China, all day, every day. If you want to get some interesting context, go to look at the interface on Firewalla and just see there's thousands of IPs. So we want to alert, and we want to monitor, and we want to block by default. But we also want to know, what if they're inside the network? Well, they might just have gotten slipped through the cracks, right? If that's the case, we want to use something called an intrusion detection system, IDS, or an intrusion prevention system. Intrusion detection does exactly that. It detects that you're in the network. The preventive one, it actually will act. It'll block traffic. Normally, like anything in security, you want to detect before you respond, because if you immediately turn on your IPS, you could legitimately kill real traffic. And I've seen that happen. You could turn your whole network into a pumpkin. So you got to be careful there. But there's different ideas around an IDS. So you have this thing called signature-based intrusion detection. A couple products that do this really well: Snort, Sericata. They look at like known signature patterns. They look at traffic, like, oh, this person's in the network. They immediately launched like a SMB relay attack against the domain controller. Boom, block the traffic, detect on it, send you a Slack alert. Just understand heuristically, these are what normal patterns look like. But not everything follows a normal pattern, right? In the same way that next gen anti-malware is only good for static kind of like tangible threats, you still need to look at anomalies. You need to look at behavioral elements. And so that's where this thing called Bro, well, actually it used to be called Bro. It's now called Zeek. It was designed by UC Berkeley. It's incredible. It does all the anomaly detection. It looks at stuff like, okay, Mike's normally, on RedTube, right? He's not on browsers. All of a sudden, he's going on browsers. No, I'm just being silly, but you get me. No, and but like, or for example, this machine does not run PowerShell. All of a sudden, someone's running invoke, download malware, anomalous. Let's alert on it. Let's block it. Like most things in security, it's a combination of both, right? You don't want just one, you don't want the other. So IDS, IPS, next-gen firewall, those things, and alerting, right? And so when you alert the log, what you need to do is you need to aggregate and you need to send what's called a SIM, a security incident and event management system. A SIM aggregates logs, it correlates, and it creates context. It tells you the bigger picture, right? So like I said, it could be that Mike's on RedTube, then he's on browsers, but next thing you know, browsers is sending him to a command and control server. So he's probably not willfully going to this site. His machine's been compromised. But you have to look at the big picture. You've got to read the book from end to end. And so that's why you need to have correlation, and that's a SIM. And a SIM will take in logs from every source, like your SaaS applications, your endpoints, your network. In an ideal world, you're aggregating, you're analyzing, and you're taking action based off of that. And that's what any good security operations center will rely on. So yeah, I totally flew through that, but now I'm excited to read the comments because I'd be talking shit. But hey, that's Network Security 101. What you guys got for me? Dude, we should, yeah, Perp is actually, Firewall Purple is part of the new hire package. So that's on the docket. I also have a firewall. Hey, I have a 10 gig common mic, the firewall. I'll send you the 2.5 gig that I have.
Oh, the AT&T here has 5 gig internet.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm
So
curious about playing with that.
Oh, so I have 2.2 gig with Xfinity. It's hot shit. But Xfinity's
I can afford the 2.5. So just send me the 2.5.
Well, I mean, yeah, but the firewall right now, they have a gold, and then there's this other one coming out called like Platinum, like the Trump Platinum plan, and that's supposed to be 10 gig with up to a 40 gig SFP module. So they're moving further and further up the enterprise.
Nice.
And me, I just love gadgets. So once that comes out in October, I'll send you my firewall gold plus.
Yeah, if you've got anything right now that's like in the trash bin, fucking throw it in the box.
I don't. I have something not exactly firewall. I have an extra
Hey, and if you have anything like really cool hacker related stuff that I could play with, like
Yeah.
yeah, and I
Well,
could disseminate that to Sam as well.
I'm sending Brian like a welcome to Radzen security package. He
That's
doesn't
what's
know
up.
the surprise, but I'll tell you what's in it. It's
Right on.
got a giant mission darkness bag. It's got a firewall of purple, UB key, a bunch of stuff. It's like $1,000 because he's helped me out financially during this fucking stupid time where I've either lost my shit or my shit got taken from me. So I'm showing him my things, and I'll send you something too. Now that I got 3 jobs, and my aunt's relinquishing control of my finances because I've driven her fucking ape shit. Anyway, on Friday. Where's your video, dude?
My webcam doesn't want to work. I'm like plug.
You're fired. No, I'm sorry.
No, hold on. I exist. Give me
I'm just messing with you. That's cool. I'm in College Park, Marriott. Dude, I found I did tell you about the loophole Friday, but I just briefly, like, I kind of passively mentioned it to the front desk, and this guy Sam, he's super cool. He's just like, whoa. He basically said this, like, Mr. Varner, I recommend you don't tell anyone for the time being. He gets it. Yeah, he's like, that's a big deal. He's like, you should sit on this for a while, let it bake in. And he's like, you could end up being like Marriott employee of the century or whatever.
Yeah.
He's funny. I mean, that's BS, but you can see the value in it because, like, literally, so I booked like a shitload of rooms, and this is the only limitation I found. You can't get points for more than 1 room at the same hotel if you haven't stayed there. So I booked like 6 rooms at the Richmond Marriott, and they gave me for the one night, but not the others. But every single place that I booked, Courtyard, Delta, Richmond, Moxie, I all got points. I got points. And in fact, they showed up today instead of a week from now, which is also kind of interesting because I think the way that this request is made, it like bypasses the point check delay, the payment check, and the actual that you stayed there check. So I'm like,
Hey,
how quickly can I?
Is it possible to open this call up to outside contributors right now? Because I have
Yeah.
2 people.
No, it's open. I invited everyone. Like, whoever has the link can join.
No. I have somebody, a really good friend. He's in Italy. He's very interested in everything.
Yeah.
Is there any way that we can like make the meeting like let him in? He says,
Yeah, he just has to join.
the only Google account he has is D's Nuts.
No, he just needs the link. Send him the link, he can join. That's all.
Just need the link.
Yeah, you can even share the calendar invite or just send him the meet link. But it's open. Whoever has the link can join. I mean, I have to let him in, but I'll do that in real time. By all means. But yeah, and that's network security. It's wild. There's a lot more to it, but like I said, I've given you enough notes to go down. Oh, hi, Kitty. That looks like Meatball's brother right there. Oh, what a baby. I love my kitties. Hey, Martin and Zach, do you guys have any idea when you think he'd be coming back? Kind of waiting it out.
So, waiting, I think until Mother's Day at least, because she's making really slow improvements. But it's like, there's not really any real answer of like, I'm just kind of waiting, to see if she gets more stable and can get off the ventilator.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, we're kind of not exactly sure yet, but I'll have a better update, I think, next week. Yeah, so I think we're probably going to stay at least another week and then
Yeah.
hopefully call it then, because yeah, I don't know, man. This is tough. It's tough.
Yeah. I'm glad that she's on the up and up. That's
Yeah.
good stuff.
But it's going to be a really, really long recovery because she's been, I just don't want to leave, before seeing that like there's going to be a stable, you know, right now it's just very, very uncertain. So,
Yeah. Stay
but
as
yeah,
long as you know,
but I
obviously.
really, you know, I'm hoping to get home sooner rather than later, of course, but
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
feel-
think, yeah. But it's getting to the point where we're kind of getting into a swing of going to the, you know, going and visiting her a couple times a day, and then just kind of hanging out. Just I've been really just spending time with my dad.
Yeah.
You
You've
know,
been getting some deep dish pizza? Yeah.
we just ate some pizza from
Oh
Trader
man,
Joe's.
I miss the deep dish. I mean, Geno's and oh man, fuck. I'd
Yeah.
go on that trip to see you guys just for that, honestly.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Well,
Deep.
you know,
Yeah.
Notre Dame, alma mater, baby.
I know. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'll see how long you guys are there. Maybe I'll like drop in
Yeah.
for a few
Well,
days.
Yeah.
that would be fun.
I forget to go to Chicago. Actually, oh, you know what? I'm thinking I can probably go break into a couple hotels over there. I'll talk to Marriott next week. Love that. No, that's the thing. I can pretty much go wherever. I'm just
Here's
gonna
my
be like,
cat's
Justin,
hey,
you
butt.
got a few minutes
Hey,
after this?
Want you.
what's that, Mike?
You got a couple minutes after this?
Yeah, Def.
Because my homeboy's here.
What's up? I thought he was Otter AI. I was like, what's Otter AI doing
I
back
kind
here?
of wanted to like one-on-one or two-on-one.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I mean, this is the end of the class, so thank you all. Next week we're gonna be talking about infrastructure security, talking about bare metal, virtualization, infrastructure as a service, OS, infrastructure as code, containers, and container orchestration.
Yeah,
So
and
that-
hopefully this time around I'll be able to chill.
Yeah, no problem. And then if you want to retroactively down the road put the slides together, by all means.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna do that.
Okay,
And
yeah.
but just
Cool.
yeah, this week was just kind of
Yeah, family
Yes.
first.
messy. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I'll keep you posted, and yeah, we're probably gonna be here for another week at least.
All right. Yeah, sounds
So-
good. Let me know if you need anything, even if you guys just want like a hotel for a night or two. I don't know. You know, let me know.
All right.
Something to
Well,
think
thank
about.
man.
You might
Thank
just
you.
be looking to rage, and you can't always rage in your parents' house.
That's
You know,
true.
I know how it is. So
Well, my
just
dad's
like-
pretty cool. He can be he
well,
can be a
you
party
all
man.
can rage. You all can rage in the hotel and
That's-
destroy it.
Okay, there we go. All right. All right.
Thanks, y'all.
Well, good to see you, and
see you.
Yeah,
keep me posted
soon.
about
Take care of
the
that kitty
text for
cat.
next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chin
We'll be chatting
scratches,
every
all
day.
the chin scratches.
Yeah, we'll be
Thanks,
chatting.
y'all.
All right.
I'll see you
Bye.
later.